my intro, I guess. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Rik Heywood, who will be doing today's talk on building an application in Laravel on the tube. So, thank you very much.
Are we in business? Yes. Okay. So building a side project on the tube. This is what I spend my commute doing. So I'll just get started. Hello, I'm Rik Heywood. So I'm the Director of Software Engineering at PodPoint, where we do charge points for electric cars. And in my spare time, I am also starting up this thing called Team Absence, which is the project I have been building for the last umpteen years on the tube. So, so who here has a side project of some sort or another? Of course you do. Of course you do. You're software developers, and that's what we do. You know, we're slightly different from regular people. We come after we finish work, we come out and we go somewhere where we can talk about work. Yay. And I bet some of you, when you get home this evening, will open your laptop and do something that normal people might consider to be work. And but you know, that's what we do. We love it. And I get a lot of pleasure from writing software, and I always have. And so I always have had side projects ticking away when I've been at home or anywhere else. So here is a screen grab from the Wayback Machine of my website from 1998. I had a look at this at the weekend and found this, and I thought, actually, that's not bad, actually. That's pretty respectable for a 1998 website. It doesn't look like a total piece of arse. So, so I was quite pleased with myself there. But what I thought was amusing on it was there's this section, I don't know if you can read at the bottom, but it says, so what's on this site? Not a lot, actually. As a way of teaching myself all the new stuff that happens in the PC games industry. I used to work developing video games. I often write little programs to test stuff out. And some of those programs are on this site for you to download, and you can even have the source code. So this was before GitHub and things like that, so you just stuck it on your website. And there it is, right there, that a few years earlier I wrote some random screensaver, and I've stuck the source code on there and some information about things I did. And so that's getting on for 20 years ago, and I've kind of been doing that the whole time. And while I was on the Wayback Machine, I thought I couldn't resist. So this is where I worked at the time, called Computer Artworks, and we made a game where you blew up alien monster things. It was cool. This is Apple's website of the day. Not quite as slick as it is today, but still interesting. The thing I thought was most fun was their hot news, Intuit commits to Quicken for Mac. You can't really see them doing that today, can you? Getting excited about that and putting it on the front page of their website. And here's php.org, oh no, .net from the time. So PHP 3 had just come out. And on that website that I just showed you of mine, there was a little forum software where you could post comments and do stuff. And that was my first PHP project. I'd been a C++ developer up till then, and I was messing about with web things because that seemed to be the new hotness. And one of the things that amused me about this was PHP 3 is just out. And he goes, this rewrite is faster, more robust, and uses less memory than version 2. I thought, that sounds familiar. It's almost exactly the same quote as PHP 7. So, so there's a never-ending quest to make things faster and smaller and more efficient. And So other side projects of mine over the years, I've written a 3D game engine that ultimately actually turned into a business, and ran that for 3 years, licensing the technology out to people. I built an e-commerce site in my spare time so that my wife could start a business, and that eventually also became my business, and I ran that for 7 years. That was fun. There's a product called Workfoo that I took over. I didn't build the original version of it, but I took it over and converted it all to PHP, and that was a sort of social recruitment platform, I suppose would be the way to describe it. It worked out what your skills were from all your social network stuff. That was also quite cool. And then a framework. Everyone builds a framework, don't they, at some point or another. I was trying to teach myself Symfony 2, and I found the learning curve to be just a little bit too vertical, and started building my own framework just to help myself understand some of the decisions they'd made. And ultimately, it sort of turned into Symfony 2, and then I could get rid of that and just use Symfony, which saved me a lot of time and effort after that. But the point was, I learnt how and why Symfony did the things it did, and that helped me a lot down the road. So the attraction of a side project. Why do we all want to do side projects? Well, it's learning new stuff. We want to try out the new hot thing that's out there that we just read about today. I spend a lot of time upgrading frameworks because we use Laravel a lot, so there's a lot of upgrading to do. And I'm always upgrading those before they're ready, and because I want to know how it works and what it does. So I spend a lot of time on Laravel, and things like Vue.js turn up. You go, right, my next thing I'm doing is going to have a thing that's all with Vue.js, because that seems to be cool. And you work out what it's good at and what it's not so good at, and you just get to understand things. Or it might be just whatever you've just watched that afternoon on Laracast, and you think, well, I better go and build something with that. We also love tinkering with stuff. You know, we always want to make the stuff we're building cleaner, faster, better looking, whatever it is. You know, that it's just an obsession to go through and try and make things better. We're always wanting to make things better, and this is a great opportunity to do that. Because at work, we sometimes don't really get the freedom to be able to tinker with things endlessly. You know, for some reason they want to deliver something. Who knows why? But ultimately they do, and so there's a limit to how much tinkering we can do. And it's an intellectual challenge. You know, we approach some of these things because we want to know how something works. We see something cool. The company that's sponsoring us, IMEA, I'm sure I've pronounced that wrong. That's the one. That's the fellow. If you go and have a look at their website, there's this awesome thing on the front page with all these swirly, twiddly, awesome things, and it looks cool. And you know, I come away from that going, God, I wonder how they did that. I want to know how to do that. I want to build one of those. That looks awesome. So, you know, it's tackling things like that. For me, for this project that I'm going to be talking about tonight, I sort of became mildly obsessed, I'd say, with the simply mind-numbing complexity that are dates. Dates are hard. What idiot designed that system? Clearly, they didn't have a computer, that's for sure, because they wouldn't have built it that way. So first off, I came up with a whole bunch of new date systems that were sane, but trying to persuade the rest of the world to use a different date system, that's beyond my skills. So I just started tinkering with things with dates, and it's sort of kind of fun. But if you ever need to do stuff with dates, there's a PHP class, I mean, I'm sure you know about it, called Carbon, which just has solved all that. So thank God, actually, because it would have driven me insane if I didn't find that. So I sort of decided it would be fun to work out sort of complex working patterns and things like that in a clean and elegant way, and that made sense to me. So that was the original thing that happened to me way back at the beginning of this project, that got me down this route. And the other reason we like a side project is, well, one day I'll be a millionaire. I'll build something and the whole world will suddenly want it, and I'll make a pile of cash, and I can quit my job and go and live on an island or something. That would be brilliant. So on the tube, yes, actually, on the tube. I have quite a long commute. I live outside of London and trek in every morning, and it takes me about 90 minutes each way, which is a bit of a killer commute in most people's worlds. So obviously you want to find something to do in all that time. So I eventually found a route that meant I could get on, not have to change train very often, and I had a high likelihood of getting a seat, which is obviously pure gold on the tube. So I mostly get a seat for about 40 minutes each way, which gives me a good hour and a half of development time a day. That's actually not bad. You can get quite a lot done in that time, and you'll be amazed actually how much you can get done in that amount of time. And I encourage you to, if you can find that much time, have a go. And the other nice thing about that little window of time that I found was that it didn't involve sacrificing anything else. I didn't have to give up time with my family or going out or doing anything else. So that was good. The only problem is sometimes it's like that, and that's really kind of sucky for productivity. If you can't sit down using a laptop, you look like a dick. So it just doesn't work. So I thought I ought to show you something of what I've been doing. I don't know how this is going to work. Let me just come out of here and try and find this. I don't know which edge the screen is on. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Okay, so what I've ultimately built over the years is this tool called Team Absence, and it's a thing for companies to use for their staff to be able to book time off work and keep track of all of that kind of thing. So so it has the sort of simple things like being able to show you how much time off you've still got left, and the sort of simple way of booking it. You just sort of do something and book some time off, and that sorts it all out for you. And if you need approval for that, it has emailed your line manager and tells them what to do. It provides some level of ability to see what else your team is doing. Contrast is not so great on there, but you can see all the people in your team and when they're going to be on holiday and whether people are going to be off today and things like that. And some reporting things. And most of these features have sort of largely come about through some need of mine to play with some gimmick or some piece of functionality. So there's some things on this page which this is some report where I thought I need to know more about SVG. So I learned how to do this. So I love this bit. You can reload the page and then it does this. Ooh, lovely. I love all stuff like that. So all of it, if you use GitHub, like you don't, you'll recognise that. That's a sort of a bit of a borrowed idea. It was surprisingly simple to do actually once I got started. So you could see something good somewhere, have a go. Doesn't actually often take as much effort as you think it's going to take to do stuff. So you can go, even these SVG things, they're super easy to get interactive and make stuff happen. It's all good fun to learn how to do all of this stuff. And all of that knowledge I can take into work with me in the morning and use there to make the products I work on that people actually pay me for to work on even better. So that's pretty great. Right, let me just work out how to get back to this thing. I'll try and find my mouse. So it's all very well building your side project. How do you get it to be a releasable thing that people will give you money for? That's really one of the sort of objectives. And there's a sort of set of conventional wisdom about how you should approach this particular problem. And you start off, you do some market and keyword analysis, and you find yourself a nice niche that isn't too competitive, that you can get yourself a bit of a slot into. And then you throw together a trivial app in 3 weeks and throw it out there. Say, right, here's the world, check out this awesome thing I've just built. And so you launch it, and you try and get a bit of traction. See if people like it, see if they hate it, see if they seem to be willing to pay for it. So Workfoo that I mentioned earlier was an example of this. It was a gorgeous looking project and everybody loved it, but actually it turned out nobody was willing to actually pay for it. So ultimately it didn't do so well. So what if you start getting customers, you then just iterate away like a mad thing, improving everything, making it better, making it sharper, making it more optimized for whatever market you're aiming at. And if it doesn't work out, just doesn't matter. Move on. You haven't invested much in it, so it's not too much of a problem. So what was my approach on this project? Right. So planning, research, yeah, didn't really do any of that. Just was building it for fun. So yeah. Then I spent 2 or 3 years building it. Oh, that's not what you're supposed to do. Admittedly, quite a lot of that 2 or 3 years, I wasn't really just like head down, focused 99% on this. It was like I was tinkering with it, and then I'd spend another year upgrading 5 different versions of Laravel, and then, then I'd go and do something else, and then I'd come back to it and things. So it wasn't exactly flat out for 2 or 3 years, but still quite a lot of time. And then at Christmas, my wife says, so when is this thing you've been working on forever going to be ready to launch? And I was like, well, I've still got to, well, actually, yeah, no. Yeah, it's ready, actually. There isn't anything else I need to do. Shit, it's finished. I could ship it. Brilliant. So that made me realise that I'd actually come quite a long way. I did actually have a product that was probably ready to launch. There was still a few things it needed to do. It needed a landing page or a marketing site, and it didn't have production servers or anything. It was just running on my laptop. And I know that's how we used to do websites in the 90s, but you need to do a bit better than that these days. So launched it. Next, I went to see if there was a market for this product. Now, you're meant to do that right at the beginning before you've done anything. So, fingers crossed. And if it works out, yay! And if it doesn't, damn. Never mind. At least I had fun building it. So a bit of wisdom learnt the hard way. This is your spare time that you're spending on these side projects. So don't treat it as another job. It's not another job. You've got one of those. Just do it for fun, right? If you're enjoying yourself doing it, it doesn't matter if it works at the end, or you've got a shippable thing, or you've not got a shippable thing. You've done it. for the entertainment. And largely I have done it for the entertainment. Some people have trouble understanding that, but that is what I've done. And also do it for the satisfaction of building something you're proud of. Sometimes our jobs require us to work on something we're not finding all that interesting, or we need to deliver things really at a standard that we're not quite happy with. And if that's every day and every week of your job, well, you need to go and get another job is what you need to do. But you know, we put up with it once in a while because we get the commercial realities of the world. But on your side projects, on the things you're doing in your own time, that's definitely not what it should be. You should be building it for fun, you should be building it to learn stuff, and you should be building it to prove to yourself just what amazing things you can do. And I was chatting to the people about that website I was talking about earlier with the lovely, shiny, swirly things. That was a side project. That one of their developers just came in one day and goes, check out this cool thing I've built. And they went, that's so cool, we're putting it on the front page of the website. And that is the kind of stuff that, you know, that we like to do. Make sure you build it for the satisfaction of building it. And if it kind of works out and people give you money, well, bonus. That's brilliant. Yeah, going. This was just a sham of an excuse to use this picture because I love it so much, but I'm sure you've all seen that before. Just going back to this one, really. Mostly what I'm talking about here sounds like sort of financial success, but there are other measures of success of one of your projects, one of your side projects. It doesn't have to suddenly turn into some massive cash cow that brings you in tons of cash. You might spend your time contributing to open source projects and that are important to you, or you might offer your time to charities that need your help to build things, or you know, maybe you're just learning something new so that you can actually get that job that means you're not having to do the thing that you hate doing every day. So try and keep an open mind as to what counts as success for a side project. And that cool dog with a tie. Everyone loves the dog with a tie. So what was great about working on a project like this? So have absolute total creative freedom. No one tells you how it's going to work. Nobody is telling you how it should look. Nobody's telling you which are the features that you've got to get in now because it's super important. And there's nobody going, you've got to put this extra tracking tag in to the website. And I know it's going to fuck up your performance, but you know, it's brilliant because then we'll be able to tell people click on this button. And you don't have to justify your decisions to anyone. You know, if you think A is better than B, then you do A. You don't have to convince anybody else. So the other benefit was if I wasn't really happy with a feature, I'd finished building it and I'd fiddled about with it and tried using it. It doesn't really working out. I could just delete it and start again. So that was great. And you know, you learn a lot doing it the first time. So the second time, all software developers know that the second time you implement something, it's much better. You know what you're doing the second time, so you do tend to do a much better job. No deadlines at all. So you can never be late on a side project. It's always on time. So for me, actually, coding is a very relaxing activity. Again, something that normal people struggle with understanding. But I find it extremely relaxing. And in fact, if I'm having a bit of a stressed out day, I like nothing more than go into a corner and write some code. And I recently got a new Fitbit. And that has a heart rate monitor on it. And I've realized that whilst I'm coding, my heart rate drops by 20 beats a minute, which is quite a lot, actually. It gets into the 50s, which is quite worryingly low. But that's how much of a sort of zen state I get into whilst I'm coding. And that might not be the case for all of you, but certainly for me, it is a very relaxing activity. And so, deadlines, who cares? So what sucked about working on a sort of side project like this? Well, you have total creative freedom. So without somebody else telling you that your idea is utterly insane, there's nothing to stop you just going and spending a few weeks building it. And so you can waste a lot of time building a load of rubbish. If I wasn't happy with a feature, I could delete it and start again. Now, whilst that's sort of good in some ways, it does use up quite a lot of time. And often the new version isn't really actually that much better. But as long as it was fun both times, who cares? There's no deadlines. So there's a reason it took 2 or 3 years to do. It's because there was no deadlines. So, you know, they put pressure on you, but they also keep you disciplined. And deadlines give you a focus and a sort of bit of a sense of priority. So actually I did, in the end, give myself some deadlines. And but the good thing about the deadlines that you set yourself is there's actually no consequences if you miss them. So they're sort of like pretend deadlines. Drifting aimlessly. It's not totally clear what the objective was. I didn't start out at the beginning and go, I'm going to build a really cool absence management piece of software. I started out going, God, dates are mad, aren't they? And it sort of evolved from there. So without a clear plan, things can drift. So again, in the end, I created a Trello board and listed things that I wanted to build. And that sort of kind of helped me figure out which things were important and which things I needed to sort of try and focus on. And it also gave me some willpower to try and implement some of the things that I wasn't actually that excited about building, because trouble with building an entire thing is there's always going to be some tedious crud round the back that you're not terribly interested in. And some, you know, before you can ship something, generally those have to be built. Yeah, got through a lot of Laravels, that's for sure. Each of these steps takes a little while. Luckily, I've never actually counted up the amount of time I've spent moving from one version of a framework to another. Most of these transitions actually have been pretty painless. 4.2 to 5 was quite an ordeal. Mostly because I started it about a week after it was going to be 4.3, and it was early days, about 3 months before it came out. So I had to probably do it several times, because on a weekly basis, Taylor Otwell would completely re-engineer the entire thing and change all the structure of everything. So, so that caused a bit of a slowdown. But the advantage of all of that was that by the time Laravel 5 actually shipped, I knew the internals and how the whole thing worked about as well as Taylor probably did, and that was really useful at PodPoint where I work. All of our stuff got upgraded to 5 and 5.1 and 5.2 pretty much with no effort at all, because we kind of knew what we were doing. We knew where the problem areas were because I'd stumbled over them all clumsily on my side project. So that had its benefits. Billing. Oh yes, billing. So billing sort of summed up all of the above problems many times over. I've lost count of the number of different versions of that I did, and looking back over my work log, I've probably spent about 5 months on the billing system in Team Absence, trying to get it right. And it's not that it didn't work or it wasn't doing its job properly. It's just I wasn't happy about some subtle detail of the experience, whether you could change plans immediately and whether you needed your credit card up front or not, and all of that kind of thing. So I use Stripe as the back-end payment processing stuff, and Stripe is pretty trivial to integrate into stuff, but when you start getting into all the nitty-gritty stuff and I want to be able to offer random discounts to people and stuff, it starts to actually get a little bit complicated, and it's quite hard to get that absolutely bang on. And when you certainly start talking about getting money off of customers, you need to not mess this bit up. So make sure you spend the time on that if you're going to do it, or make your billing stuff super simple. Mine ended up being more complicated than it perhaps ought to have been, but the end result is quite painless to use from the customer's point of view. I did learn some cool things along the way doing this, though. I used Phantom.js to do all the invoicing. So when you want to download an invoice, it basically just renders a web page with Phantom.js into a PDF. And I didn't know you could do that until I started digging into this. And so I've got a really nice way of getting a PDF out of the system, and I've got a really nice way of editing those things, because it's just another page as far as my site's concerned, and it all works in exactly the same way as everything else. So it's just twig templates and everything exactly the same as normal. So again, whilst there was some pain involved, I came out of it knowing some useful things. So as I've mentioned, I did most of this on the Tube, and the Tube isn't really the ideal working environment. So there's some things that go a bit wrong. Large, complex features, they were quite hard to do in 30 minutes. It's not very long, and if there's somebody sneezing on you, sitting next to you, it makes it harder. But a surprisingly large number of tasks do actually fit into a 30-minute window if you've had a bit of time ahead of time to think about it. But some don't, and breaking those down could block me for weeks. But what it's taught me is that when there's a big, hairy problem that you're trying to solve, you just need to keep moving forward. You just need to bite a little chunk off and do that, and that gets you a bit closer to your goal. And do it again the next day, and then again the next day, and you keep inching forward, taking a little bit more progress onto this thing. And occasionally you'll find that the path you've gone down is a dead end, and you can't really get to where you want to go there, and you have to go back a bit. But you're always sort of working towards it, and often it can be difficult to find that next little chunk that you can bite off. But it's worth persevering on getting there, because it's certainly taught me a lot about planning and scheduling projects and making sure that I'm always moving forward. We have a philosophy at PodPoint now where you ship it when it's better than the old one. So if we've got a product we're working on and we've made it in some way measurably better than it was before, then that's done. And it might not be everything we want it to be ultimately, but it is better. And so that's worth giving to the customers, because they get a better experience. And tomorrow we can add another bit and another bit and another bit, and we just keep making it better. And it's the heart of that iterative process, but on a sort of more large scale thing. Crappy 3G connection. So I've got a little 3G dongle that I have in my bag, and gives me some half-assed internet when we're not underground. So not having an internet connection for a developer, that does not compute, and makes you realise actually just how often you go around looking stuff up and you depend on knowledge that's out there, and it's surprising how dependent you are on it. And even a simple thing like doing composer update could easily burn half of the Tube journey. because the connection was just too ropey. Anything that needs a lot of interaction with an external API, billing. So testing Stripe when you haven't got an internet connection, doesn't work. You need an internet connection because otherwise you can't reach Stripe's API. So it's a problem. But what it does result is that my code was actually pretty robust now, because every day when I've been developing it, it's having to deal with the fact that the internet connection just randomly drops out and there isn't any, or it's really slow. And so it's actually, the error handling and the processing of all of that kind of thing is actually pretty good. And I'm fairly confident that it doesn't screw up that often. So what worked well, if anything? So crappy 3G connection forced me to keep stuff lean. I've not pulled in random JavaScript stuff from everywhere, all in external places. Haven't got 400 fonts from external resources. I'm not depending on all kinds of random things that it's very easy to just go, oh, I'll just pull that in because that's easy. Oh, that's because now I go, well, that's going to make my JavaScript another 400 bytes bigger. That's no good. That's going to kill me. So the end result is a very compact page, and you get to experience how people will use this site, especially on mobile, in a very much more real way. It's all very well having our awesome internet connections at the office. Those just do not compare with the mobile experience. Even when you're getting fairly good bandwidth on a mobile device, the latency is absolutely diabolical. So it really helps to make sure you optimize everything, reduce your HTTP requests, get everything really efficient, and the end result is a better site for everyone. So whilst that caused me some pain, it also helped make the product a better product. Loads of tests, because the nice thing about running tests locally is they don't need an internet connection. So quite a lot of the functionality I wrote, especially on the billing stuff, just mocking the hell out of Stripe's API and all that kind of thing. I could do quite a lot of work without actually having an internet connection at all. And the end result of all of this was that I have a lot of test coverage on the site, and that's going to be a real bonus for me down the road. And obviously, it killed a tedious commute. I've got a long commute, and it was something to do. So if you're trying to get a side project off the ground and doing stuff, there is actually a load of free stuff out there that you can use to help you. Here's some of the stuff I'm using on this product. So obviously AWS, they've got a free tier. You can actually get a surprisingly long way with that. If you use it at work, you probably don't really even think about what's included in the free tier, but you get an EC2 instance, a load balancer, an RDS instance. You get a ton of stuff for free, and you get it for a year. You can easily prove a product without having to pay Amazon a cent. It's amazing, really, that exists at all. I use AWS, so we have everything on there, and I use a product they've got on there called OpsWorks, which is a sort of chef deployment process thing. So the whole infrastructure is automated, scalable. It's pretty good, and it's free at the moment. So yay. Slack, obviously, that's free. It's a very good hub for everything else to talk into. Datadog is a monitoring and alerting system, so you can use that to keep an eye on all your servers, make sure they're all up and running, make sure everything's responding at a reasonable rate, and they have a free tier, 5 instances for free, so that's great. CodeShip runs all the tests, integration testing. Help Scout is customer support service. They have a free tier, which is going to be fine for me for a while, and when I have to start paying for it, it's not very expensive either, so brilliant. Trello, well, I think software development would grind to a halt if Trello went away. Wistia is videos. You get 25 videos, hosted videos with all kinds of metrics and stuff on it. Wootrix is a customer NPS survey tool, so periodically it'll ask your customers whether they think you suck or not, and you can see the answers. And Heap Analytics is another product a bit like Google Analytics for providing all your analytics stuff. Again, they have a free tier. There is just literally thousands of these products out there that will give you access to stuff for free, and they're good products that will really help you get off the ground. So, you know, and even if you're not intending to make a living out of any of this stuff, you can run all your stuff on this. It's fine, and you don't have to. It doesn't cost you anything. So, going from a fun thing to a commercial thing, what was the real bind there? And surprisingly, most of them are not technical. They're the non-technical side of things. So obviously I had to build production servers and buy domains and set up HTTPS certificate things and do termination at load balancers and all that kind of thing. You also have to remember to stop editing your migrations on your database migrations, because you can't just go PHP artisan migrate refresh anymore, because it's live. So you could just start taking things a bit more sensibly. And getting a marketing site together, that's a pain in the arse, because it's mostly front-end work, which is not really my area of expertise. So that's quite hard work. You have to start paying for some licenses of things. Quite a lot of things, they're free until you go commercial, and then you suddenly realize that actually we've got all these things here and they all cost you money. So it's all good. And it's sensible to set up some kind of analytics so you know what the hell's going on. Forming a company, that's always a good idea when you're trying to start selling something, so don't get the arse sued off of you when you do something wrong or something like that. But that's actually much easier than it sounds. You just contact an accountant and say, I'd like a company, please. And they go, certainly, that'll be £100, and here's 2 days later, it's all sorted. So that bit is pretty easy. Getting a bank account set up is a bit more of a pain in the arse. That seems to take forever. They tell you it's going to take 2 days, but it takes about 3 months. Yeah, until it doesn't. So I got a bank account set up with that, and with Barclays, I had a bank account within probably a day or two, but before I could actually log into it on the online banking thing or doing it, before I could actually use it to do anything, it was literally a couple of months. Support. You've got to have a plan for that, because people will start using your thing if you put it out there, and they'll expect it to work, and they'll expect you to answer their questions when they ask you. So start with only offer email support. That simplifies that somewhat. And everything goes into Slack and HelpScout, so I find out straight away. And then I've got a couple of people that help me. So I've got my wife who does stuff, and I've got a friend who's sort of helping me with getting things going. And she's helping out as well. So there's actually 3 of us sitting there answering support calls, and so far that's working fine. We're not leaving people waiting for more than a few minutes. So pretty good. But you've got to watch out for it. There's quite a lot of opportunities to outsource some of this stuff as well. There's things like Fiverr and People Per Hour and Upwork. These are all incredible ways to get work done for you that would otherwise burn a chunk of your time. So on the marketing site for this, there's a video which shows all the features of the product and stuff, and there's a voiceover for that. And I was thinking, oh God, I've really not got a voice for voiceovers. I don't want to do that. And I went on Fiverr and found somebody with a voice that sounded about right, and it was $10 to do the voiceover. You know, it just didn't cost anything much, and I sent them the script, and a day later I got a WAV file back, dropped it into the video, fitted perfectly, everything was brilliant. So there are some great resources out there if you just sort of go out and look for them. And finding yourself a virtual assistant of some sort who will go and do some research off in the background, or go and do things, any sort of time-consuming, repetitive task, you can give that to somebody else to do, and they will happily do it. So great. Lets you concentrate on building something that's awesome. Billing, I've already mentioned. Don't mess about with that. Just get it right. And it's a hard thing to get right, but you need to be absolutely solid on that. On the sort of subject of billing, I'd say if you're trying to think of what your pricing should be, don't go cheap. All that happens if you go cheap is you attract the really low quality customers, the ones that are going to moan at you endlessly about every tedious detail and expect you to, I don't know, do something about it, even though they're not paying you anything. So avoid free and avoid really low pricing, and you'll find you get better quality customers as a result of that. Again, this kind of stuff is quite outsourceable. So make sure you do. Or go find a co-founder who will work with you on some of this stuff. There are plenty of meetups out there on how to sort of, to try and get people together. Oh, I'm a technical person, I'm a marketing person, I'm a salesperson. Finding those people is easier than it's ever been. A budget. You need to have some cash aside to get things going. If you can't afford to keep it running, you really ought to question whether you should make it available to people. Because if you don't get the customers, all that's going to happen is you're going to let them down eventually if it doesn't catch on. So make sure you're thinking about your customers if you're going to have any. And kind of important, this one, your day job. You can't let any of this stuff mess with your day job. So a lot of us would quite like it if one day our side project was our day job, but that day isn't now. So in the meantime, make sure that you're not doing something that's going to cause a problem there. So try and think about what you want from your side project. If you want it to be a big thing, then you're going to need to do something different. And if you think you're going to be if the plan is I'm going to be the next Instagram, you're going to need a massively different approach to the whole thing. That's a whole investment type thing. You're not going to be able to do that in your spare time. If you just want a project that brings in a little bit of money on the side and maybe pays for a holiday once a year, then you've got much more of a chance of building something sustainable. And never bend over backwards for one customer. That is just a recipe for killing yourself. You don't want to end up just being one person's slave to demanding features and stuff. So watch out for that. It's very easy when you're right at the beginning to go and to sort of get very excited about the prospect of getting a customer in the door and saying you'll do whatever you need to do to get it. Be careful. And automate the crap out of everything. The last thing you want to be doing is lots of manual steps all over the place. All of your processes, your deployments, your infrastructure, your testing, your invoicing, your billing, all the welcome emails that you send people, all the other things, that all wants to be automated. You can either automate that yourself manually, but there's also tools like Zapier and all that kind of stuff that will let you hook all kinds of pieces of your infrastructure together and automate it that way. But make sure it's all automatic, because you don't have time to do anything else. And be realistic. If you can't work 100 hours a week, because it'll kill you. And you can do it for a week or two, but it's just not sustainable. So think about what's going to happen if you do get some success and you do get some customers in through the door. How's that going to affect things? If you can only support 10, then don't try and get more, and because otherwise you just let everyone down, and that's terrible. So the other thing to think about is what are you doing this weekend? And if you've got an idea, just start it. Just start building it. You know, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out. So you can figure it out as you go along, and I wouldn't worry if you haven't got a plan. It doesn't matter. It's a side project. It's not your life, you know. And remember, you're doing it for fun. It's quite important. So that's it really. It's a massive plug for new thing. Any questions? I think there's some microphones somewhere here. Oh.
How many customers do you have?
Do
you mind me asking?
More than none, and less than 1 million. So I do actually have some customers. There are people using this, and they've come from some quite surprising places, actually, places that I wouldn't have expected. Odd little shops around the country and things like that, where you wouldn't have thought they even had enough employees to need something like this. But so it's been quite interesting to come along to that. But it's certainly not going to be worrying any of my competitors at the moment. The number of customers I've got, but it's nice.
How did you find your first customer?
I've no idea. I'm a developer and not a marketeer, so I don't know. They turned up and they gave me money.
They literally
Brilliant.
found your website and said, they literally found your website
I
of
guess.
the revolution.
So I spend a little tiny bit. I'm just doing, because it's not been long that I've been running it now, so I spend a small amount on AdWords, and I'm poking a few things here and there, trying to work out what works. They come in from all over the place, and sometimes I've got no idea. They're just direct arrival, no tracking, no from anywhere, and then they give me money. So, yay. But I haven't quite got the hang of the whole marketing thing yet. It's not my area. Hopefully I'll get better at that. Yep.
Did you ever find in your Zen-like 45 heartbeats per minute state? Oh, thank you. Did you ever find in your Zen-like 45 heartbeats per minute state that you missed your stop?
I've never actually missed my stop. No, luckily I've lived very close to the end of the line, so missing the stop isn't actually quite that catastrophic because I'm only one stop away from the end of the line. But I have gone down the wrong branch of the line before. So I live near the end of the Metropolitan line, which forks at Harrow-on-the-Hill, and if you're on the wrong train when you get to Harrow-on-the-Hill, you end up not at home. and so yeah, I have ended up on the wrong train there. I get on knowing I'm on the wrong train, and I just don't notice that I've got to the place where I'm meant to get out again and change to a different train. So it is a risk, yes. If your commute takes you on a train that goes to Edinburgh and you have to get off somewhere along the way, you may need to set an alarm or something. Automate it. That's the secret.
Hi. You did a really good talk. You did a marketing video with the voice.
Oh yes.
You outsourced the voice. How did you do the video?
So the video, yeah. Shall I show you the video?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank
Oh
you.
dear.
Cheers.
Oh. Oh, actually, I haven't got any internet connection. You can't see. Actually, I might have a copy of it. Oh, hang on, I might have a copy here. Don't panic. See if I can find it. So I used a product called ScreenFlow. Oh, hang on. Is that one? Work out which. No. No. Shout if you see it turning up on the screen. Oh, hang on, because I'm in full screen on something else, aren't I? I'm getting there. Don't talk amongst yourselves. Right, here it is. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, though. So I built this in this product called ScreenFlow, which lets you record the screen. And so this was a lot of fun actually building this, because I didn't know how to do any of this stuff when I started on this, and it was kind of fun. You just recorded a bit, and then you could do some this thing down here with all this purple stuff all over it. There we go. I'll press play and see what it does. Is it playing?
What if your team could always see how much time off they've used and how much is available right now? And all that information.
There you go. Got my 10-year-old to do the camera work here. Nice work from him. He got paid in biscuits. He was happy with that. So quite a lot of this is actually.
You can see who's
I'll just
going
turn
to be
her
away
down.
on holiday, who's off sick, and who's out talking to clients.
So yeah, a lot of this was from kind of static screenshots that you can then zoom around over this tool, and some of it just records the screen, and you can then go and you can see it all around the edge here. You can see all my desktop on here, and this bit is obviously the bit that it actually shows. And so you can do all these zoomy things. It was a lot of fun building that. It took a lot of effort to figure out how to work all of this stuff, because there's about 5 trillion options on everything, and but it was good fun, and it took a couple of goes to get it right, but it was good, and now I know how to do that. So now whenever I have a new feature, I can just go, yeah, I'll record that and slap a couple of logos on the front and back and stick it up. It's brilliant. And so that's quite cool. And the voiceover stuff, I'd decided on this little script and I wrote it, and then I just posted it. I found somebody with an interesting sounding voice on Fiverr. She lives in America, I think. And so here we go, one of those, $10. She records it and sends you the WAV file. And I was amazed the whole way through doing this, at all the stuff that I was doing on that how easy it was to build and how easy it was to find somebody to do a voiceover. Because when I first started looking at that, I was finding all these people that are professional voiceover artists for do advertising and stuff, and you think, God, this is going to cost me thousands of pounds. And I originally started doing this myself because I'd in another project a few years back looked at getting a video and talked to a couple of agencies to do that kind of thing, and it's sort of 3 to 10 grand to build one of these sort of videos with all the animation and stuff, and I didn't have that much, so that wasn't an option for me. So I bought this, which was $70 or something, I don't know, and $10 for the voice, and had some fun with my 10-year-old. So it was good fun. I'd recommend having a play. Pardon? Yes, I think it's called. Yeah, ScreenFlow. It's called. And it's a Mac video editing thing, and it's pretty cool. You just press record, and it will record the whole screen, and then afterwards you can go and say, yeah, it's just that bit I want and things. So it's quite cool. Let me just go and have a look in here. Yeah. So you can whiz around and you can change all the transitions and yeah. Good. Any other questions?
Hey,
Hi.
so I was wondering how you created the dummy data for your charts and hotspots.
Yeah, so the stuff I showed you in the demo was indeed entirely dummy data. This is all fabricated stuff. So all these people here are made-up people, which is why they've all got slightly strange names. But it's all done with Laravel's seeds through and Faker. So I use the Faker, whatever it's called, package to randomize the data. So you can just say, give me a first name, give me a surname, and the images. These are all generally fairly well-known designers, I think, for the large part. And there's a site called UI Faces, where people go and say, yeah, you can use my face from my Twitter profile in trialing things. So you can go. So I've got a little folder of male faces and a little folder of female faces, and work out, pick a gender for the person, get a gender suitable name, build it all, and then equally go and randomize them, booking a load of time off. So this person's probably, so you've got this person's a manager that I'm logged in as, and they've got some time off that needs approving. So these are all things that people have booked, and you can then go and have a look at the clashes, so you can see all the holiday there that's all overlapping, and you can see stuff. So it just all randomly generates it. And I've added a console command to the project, which lets me just generate a random company. So you just type that in, and it builds a company with randomized data, and they've all got the same password, so I don't have to remember anything. And it's very helpful for the testing. So most of my unit tests go and build, or functional tests go and build stuff on the fly while they're doing it. So they'll build a small company with 3 or 4 people in it, just enough to test stuff. And then I have this, which generates a whole company with a decent quantity of people in it, and a reasonable quantity of absences booked and stuff, so I can test all of this kind of stuff and check that all these graphs are working nicely and all of this stuff rendering correctly and all that kind of thing. And so it's and I've biased it somewhat, because you noticed that there was lots of people booked time off in August. I don't know if you where are we? Yeah, so this graph is meant to show you when people are booking time off, and also how much is left unbooked. So you can see that at that point in time, 40% of time off was booked, and there's 60% left. And you can also get a sense from this that lots of people went off in August, because it's a bit steeper there. And so in the sort of Faker stuff I did, I sort of bias it a bit to certain months to create that kind of artificial sort of usage patterns and things like that.
How are you planning to spend your future commutes? Are you going to work on the next project, or do you plan to make this your full-time job?
Well, I'll keep doing stuff on this. I could show you the Trello card if I had an internet connection which has got all the things I want to do. There's enough there for another 3 years easily. So I'm enjoying this, and so I'm just going to keep doing this. I've not got any particular ambitions for it to quit my job or anything. So whilst this is working, if this suddenly takes off and I'm getting plenty of revenue from this, then that becomes an option. But it's not really what's on my plan. But just sort of keep working on this at the moment. But I've always do other things as well. So I've always got some other random little idea that I'm playing away with. Yep.
Very nicely built.
Huh?
Very useful. I wanted to find out, whichever level of marketing you've done for the project anyway, have you gotten any interest from different companies or individuals in using your platform?
Yeah. So I mean, I haven't, like I've said earlier, I haven't really spent a huge amount on marketing. I'm just doing a few pounds a day here and there on AdWords and things like that. So it's very little expenditure so far, but still fairly early days on this. The sort of feedback I'm getting so far has been pretty positive, but like I say, it's quite early. I mean, I only launched it a couple of months ago, really, and probably for the first month I didn't really mention it to anyone, which in marketing terms is apparently bad. So yeah, it's starting to build up, but we'll see where it goes.
Have you actually sort of extracted any of the functionality into open source libraries?
Into what, sorry?
Open source libraries.
I haven't yet. So there's quite a few bits and pieces there that would be quite cool to do. So like some of these little chart things, they're quite handy. But I haven't particularly. It's not been something I've had really much time to. There was a few bits early on that I did open source out, but I think the version I'm using in the product is now so far different from those that they're sort of almost irrelevant. There was some permission system stuff and there was some things like that. So I do occasionally push something out there, but I'll be the first to admit that I'm not terribly good at that, and it's not through lack of desire, it's more just getting around to it, really.
Okay. And then on the advertising side, did you use any sort of tools to help you decide on keywords, or was it just, fairly obvious aim at sort of
That's
time
the
tracking?
phase I'm in at the moment, really. I've picked a few, off the top of my head, and AdWords offers a few suggestions to you and things like that. So I've got a big load of them, and I'm seeing how they do for a bit. And some of them will do badly, and some of them will do well, and that will help me learn. But it's a learning thing, so I've got to learn how to do it. I've got a friend who's a little bit more focused on this type of marketing area than me, and she's going to be sort of looking after more of that side of things. But I will be delivering functionality that she needs. Is really what I'm going to be doing. It's like a referral program and things like that.
And a little work towards like A/B tests for
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, A/B test, if I want to do that, I would probably just use an external thing. I don't think I'd bother wasting my time implementing my own. There's some pretty good ones out there. I'll find a free one. There's lots of them, I'm sure.
Okay, I think we've got time for maybe one last question. Is this guy here?
Hi.
The last question.
Hello. I've had a few side projects myself, and I always struggle to keep onto the same one. Is that something you also struggle with, and how do you manage to sort of manage that?
Yeah, it is a problem. I mean, I've had countless side projects over the years, literally loads of them. Some of them last a day, some of them last a month, some of them last a year, some of them have lasted longer. And very few of them make it to an actual thing that anybody cares about. So, often their side projects are somebody scratching their own itch. It's like, this is really bugging me, this thing that I don't like. And in fact, this is slightly that. This, ironically, this has come about because, I got this obsession with dates, and I did some things, and I fiddled about with stuff. And but what actually really pushed me towards this is that at PodPoint we started using a competitive product, whose name I won't mention, and it's so bad and so awful that it really offends me. That the user interface on it is just awful, and the experience is just so terrible that I'm physically offended every time I have to use it. And that's the kind of thing that drives me, actually, is like, this is so... And the people are giving them money. It really pisses me off. The company I work for gives them money, and it's just so terrible. So, it's like it's the classic, well, I could do better than that. And so here I am trying to prove.
So in the 2 to
that I
3
have.
years, did you ever sort of put it down and then start something else and then pick
Oh
it
yeah,
up? Or-
yeah. So this has probably had whole big patches of time, 3-6 months as a slog probably, where I didn't even get to it. Some of the darker days of the 4.2 to 5 Laravel conversion were probably in amongst those. But you know, it's not certainly been a flat out every day sitting on the tube coding away like a mad thing. It's been much more of a sort of gradual thing. I've probably been quite focused on it for probably at least the last 6 months, and moderately focused on it for the last year, and in an ad hoc level of focus for the previous 2 years before that. So yeah, it's sort of varied quite a lot over time.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I think we're gonna have to wrap up there.
Okay.
So-
Well, if you've got any other questions, I'm here. So just come and ask me.
Okay. So big thank you to Rik. Once again, I'd like to thank Sainsbury's for having us, and for AIMA for the food and drink. I think a few of us are going to head to the Christopher Hatton for a pub. It's around the corner, so I don't know if Rick's staying or going, or...
I'll come along.
So, yeah, if you've got any more questions that you've thought of in the meantime, you can get into Rick's head and see what he's got to say. So
It's a dangerous place to go. I wouldn't recommend that.
So once again, thank you, and I'll see you all at the Christopher Hatton. If not, I'll